Hello, you lovely ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mengs and it's time for the annual New Year's Eve video on the channel. I like to do something different every year, and this year I want to actually do a bit of a recap of some of the things I've done on the channel in 2025. So without further ado, someone is sending up fireworks outside my house. Let's get started. I personally think 2025 has been a very good year for me in the channel, though maybe not the best year for Fire Emblem or Advanced Wars. However, I've had a lot of fun. I started the year by completing my very first Fire Emblem Engage maddening Ironman, and it definitely did improve my perception of Engage as a whole, especially when I ran it using an emulator, which removes a lot of clunkiness from the game. I still think Engage has a lot of problems, and that it let down a lot of the fans who didn't appreciate its flashy colored art style and over-designed characters, but from a gameplay perspective, I actually think Engage is as fun as Fates, if maybe not a little more so. Over time, I believe the community's perception of Engage will actually improve, just as it has with Fates. I think when a few more Fire Emblem games have come out and people are looking back at this game, I think they will appreciate its fun gameplay mechanics a lot more than they currently are. In February, I released my second fully-fledged Fire Emblem ROM hack, Rebellion Saga, a prequel to Onderon Saga. While it was a lot shorter than Onderon Saga at only 10 chapters, I thoroughly enjoyed the development process of this game so much more. While Onderon Saga had me burnt out and stressed out constantly, Rebellion Saga was a true joy to create. I was able to take so much of what I learned from Onderon Saga and apply it in ways that was very satisfying, and I'm extremely proud of the finished product. I was able to flesh out the lore in my world in a way that I think helps contextualize Onderon Saga and give it a lot more weight. And considering the official Discord has almost 14,000 members, I think it's been a great success. Of course, none of this would be possible without my amazing team, and I really have to give them most of the credit. You guys did a fantastic job. I can't wait to see what more amazing things we'll create together in the future. In February, I also began another Fire Emblem CMU, one that would end up being the longest one in the history of my channel, going on for the entire year, and that is of course the Radiant Dawn CMU. This was by far the most ambitious out of the Choose My Unit series that I have ever been part of, and I really can't claim credit for this one. The team behind it did almost all of the heavy lifting. I just picked the units and played the game. I really have to give a huge shout out to Potterino in particular, who went above and beyond in delivering here. This is actually, believe it or not, the very first fully completed Radiant Dawn fan hack out there, as the hacking scene for this game just isn't that big. So we actually accomplished something incredible here without realizing it. I had so much fun and so many laughs with this series, and I find it difficult to believe that any future CMU will measure up to it in terms of pure quality, but we can certainly try. In March, I started my very first Fire Emblem podcast type series with Axum and Speedwing called Battle Preps. We've only done a handful of episodes throughout the year, but I've thoroughly enjoyed this series and hope to do more of it in 2026. I fully believe that if we had launched this podcast back in the Three Houses craze, it would have blown up and gone hyper viral. Just imagine Axum and Speedwing debating Edelgard versus Dimitri. People would lose their shit. Well, who knows, maybe Fortune's Wheel will bring back some of the much needed controversy back to the series. We can only hope. In April, I tried out a new experimental series where I let chat control my Fire Emblem game in real time by a series of votes and events in chat. This was mechanically one of the most demanding and complicated series I have ever done, and there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that you guys didn't see. I definitely want to return to this format in 2026, but I need to find a better way to do it, as it is extremely difficult to balance a series where chat can dick you over as they like. It was great fun though. April also saw the launch of a very anticipated Wars-like game in Warside. After the miserable failure of the reboot camp, people were hungry and very excited for a new Wars game. But sadly, the curse struck again, and it was an absolute disaster at launch. I don't really know what happened, but I think the devs may have been pressured into releasing Warside before it was fully completed. Maybe they ran out of money and needed some extra funding, but the result was a very angry fanbase that have now all but abandoned this game. I still check in with them from time to time to see if any updates have been made, and there is some progress every now and then, but it's very slow. As of making this video, there are still COs in the game with placeholder powers, and they still haven't reached the promised 2.0 version that they made a roadmap for after launch, and it's been more than 6 months since the game came out. I tried queuing up for a multiplayer match, and even after asking on my channel page if anyone could queue up to play with me, I still couldn't find a single opponent, so I don't think anything will save this game at this point. People have moved on, and even if the devs do release the 2.0 version in the future, I would be surprised if even a fraction of the player base returned to try it. Honestly, I think one of the biggest mistakes the Warside devs made was charging $30 for this game. It should have been a $10 indie game. People would have been far more lenient on them if they had done so. It's a shame because I really want to see a game like this succeed, but sadly, it didn't. In May, I released a sequel to one of my silly hacks, Fire Emblem The Swinging Sword. Unlike the first one, which took me a week to make, this one actually took me a month, and was more of a spur-of-the-moment kind of decision. I just wanted to mess around with a silly ROM hack that didn't require so much effort. And I also have this bizarre fascination with Fire Emblem 6 hacking. It is so underdeveloped compared to the other GBA games, and the resources you have available to it are so limited, it forces you to think outside the box to solve complex problems. However, I was able to pull off some things in the Swinging Sword that I didn't think possible in an FE6 style ROM hack, and I actually had more fun making this hack than I had in a very long while. In June, I started a brand new series called Darkest Emblem, which is a combination of two games I really like, Fire Emblem and Darkest Dungeon. In this series, I invite 4 of my friends to create their characters and delve into a dungeon filled with monsters, riddles, and traps, all while their stress gradually increases. Out of all the things I've done in 2025, I think this series is actually my favorite. Due to the amount of effort required for each episode, I've only been able to do it twice, but I look forward to doing many more in 2026. I already have at least 2 more lineups planned. In July, I started my mega randomized Ironman series, starting with FE7 and eventually moving on to FEH. Randomized Ironmans are not a new concept on this channel, but the sheer chaos of this series in particular is unlike anything I've ever done before. With the chance for every weapon to have the devil effect, and all parameters randomized to insane degrees, this became a series of frequent restarts, as some maps would simply be impossible to beat and would softlock me. This created a lot of rage and yelling, and I think it was somewhat fun to watch, but for me personally, it did drain my sanity a little, and I think I need a bit of a break before I can return to it again. In September, we finally got what we were waiting for. A new Fire Emblem game was announced in Fortune's Weave. As many of us had predicted, they finally decided to expand on the Three Houses universe with a sequel/prequel. It is one of the highest selling Fire Emblem games of all time after all. Of course, any dreams of the potential FE4 remake is dead at this point, but those were unfounded rumors to begin with. Speedwing was right all along. I will say this, I am very excited for Fortune's Weave, but it has now been 3 months since we heard anything, and it's been complete radio silence. I sure hope we don't have another example of a trailer dropping and then 6 months without hearing anything, only for them to announce that the game is coming out in a few weeks. One of the things that led to Treehouse's massive success was the enormous hype and build-up as they trickled little pieces of info down to us on a weekly basis. By comparison, Engage had next to nothing leading up to its release. If they want Fortune's Weave to succeed, they have to market it better than the last game. Please, just give us something. Don't let this game quietly sink into the background and fall off people's radar. Either way, I am very excited for it to drop, and I think this game could have the potential to usher in another Fire Emblem Golden Age, which would be very good for content creators everywhere, as the series have been rather stagnant for a few years now. Oh, and yeah, we actually got another Fire Emblem game, but it sucked. I'm not talking about it. Finally, in October, I started a series that I've been teasing on the channel for years, my ultimate Fire Emblem Ironman Gauntlet. In this series, I'm attempting to Ironman every single game in the Fire Emblem franchise, in sequence, without getting a single game over in any of them. And one of the reasons I didn't want to do this series initially was, I didn't think people would like it. After all, I have to start with games such as FE1 and Gaiden. But to my surprise, you guys actually seem to love it. I am blown away by the reception to this series. I did not expect you guys to find it interesting at all. But it's provided some of the absolute best moments I've ever had on this channel, and given rise to some of the most legendary memes I have ever seen. It is likely that if I don't fail this series, it will continue into most of the next year. After all, I'm closing in on 100 hours of game time now, and I'm barely 20% through the Gauntlet. So by that logic, we have around 400 more hours to go. And that's only if I don't fail and have to go back to the beginning. Needless to say, the flaw of this series is that it can be over in an instant. But that flaw is also what makes it exciting. So many people are begging me to change the rules, to make things easier on myself, but I think that the insane challenge is what draws people into this in the first place. If I were to change the rules to a Tin Man or a soft reset run, I think a lot of people would lose interest. So I want to continue this series and see how far into it I can get. I really hope I can do the whole thing. That would be a monumental accomplishment. The year ended with an absolute bang with a Christmas charity stream. Always my favorite time of the year. I gathered some of my best friends to raise money for a good cause. In total, we were able to raise over $7,000 to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and I could not be more proud of my amazing fanbase. This truly would not be possible without your support. I hope to continue doing this series for as long as I'm on YouTube, and hell, even if I somehow stop doing YouTube in the future, I want to come back every Christmas just to do this as an annual event, because if there's one thing I never want to stop doing, it's this. I truly am grateful, guys. Thank you so much. So yeah, those are some of the highlights of 2025, but I've also done so much more. I've continued doing Advanced Wars replay commentaries, I've done solo runs with Hana, Setsuna, Ophelia, Gold Mary, and Barth, I've done draft races of Rebellion Saga, Engage, and Radiant Dawn. I also hosted a massive 30+ player Fire Emblem tournament where everyone raced each other in a randomized FE7 ROM. PH beat everyone like usual though. I've also done ROM hack review streams, playing custom games made by my audience. I've also tried some new games like Elden Ring and Night Rain, and I also received my very first channel sponsor in a game that I did not foresee that I would ever play, Girls Frontline 2. I've had a lot of fun playing that one too, for its gameplay of course. I only play it for the gameplay. 2025 have also been a great year for me personally. I'm almost about to be married for 2 years now, and I could not be happier. I have been so blessed and so happy to have one of the most amazing, empathetic, beautiful, and smartest women I have ever met in Bethany as a wife. She has enriched my life in a way that I could not begin to describe. She has brought me closer to God, and I thank Him every day for bringing her into my life. Babe, if you're watching this, just know that I love you more than anything, and I can't wait to see what 2026 has in store for us both. So now, I would like to talk a little bit about my hopes and dreams for 2026. Obviously, Fortune's Weave is going to be a big deal. I've talked about it already, but I am very excited to see what it brings to the series. My hope is that it's going to combine the gameplay of Engage with the narrative and world building of Three Houses, and if it does, I think it's going to be an absolute smash hit. As for Advanced Wars and its future, there's no denying that algorithm-wise, it is in a bit of a rough spot at the moment. No new games, the failure of Warside, worse world development having halted completely, and Advanced Wars by Web seemingly refusing to add any new original content has made it hard to be an Advanced Wars fan in 2025. But I've spoken a bit with Deejus over Christmas, and we both agree we have to host another Grandmaster tournament soon, and do some more collabs together to boot. I will not stop doing replay commentaries in 2026 either. I know you guys still like them, and I will say I've noticed an uptick in engagement on the last few ones I've done. You guys have definitely gotten better at liking and commenting on these videos, which have helped promote them in the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for that. I promise I will do my part to continue keeping this game alive in 2026. And who knows, maybe we'll get a surprise announcement down the line. No one expected the reboot camp to come out. Things can always happen. I'm also happy to announce that I've been sponsored by 2 new games, and I'm going to try them out early on in the next year. One of the games is called Mekarachi, or I think that's how it's pronounced, and the other one is a game I know one particular commenter is going to be very excited about, Arknights. I'm excited to try these games out and see if they're any good. It's always fun to try new things, especially when I get sponsored to do so. That house I want to buy for my family is not going to pay for itself after all. I thank you guys for being so chill. I know sponsorships are sometimes a bit of a controversial topic, but in the current landscape of YouTube where they just make it harder for everyone involved, it is one of the best ways for content creators to survive. I'm also happy to announce that Underland Saga Definitive Edition is progressing very nicely. I would like to say that the progress is around 50% completed. I hope to have it out sometime in 2026, probably after Fortune's Weave if it launches earlier in the year, but I'm very excited to show you guys some of the new additions we made to the game. If you join the Underland Saga Discord, there will be some exciting news shared there from time to time. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so that's it. That's my little yearly recap and hopes and dreams for 2026. I just want to finish off by just thanking all of you guys for your amazing support throughout the year. You guys truly are the most loyal and most amazing fan base a content creator could truly hope to have. I feel like every year that goes by, I just have more amazing friends and more amazing fans to be grateful for. I'm so excited to see what the year of 2026 is going to bring to this channel, and I can't wait to experience it with you guys. Please have a happy and safe New Year's Eve, whatever it is that you choose to do, whether it be, gaming inside by yourself or going out to spend time with friends and family. I hope you have an amazing time, and I'll see you guys in 2026. I love you guys. Have a happy New Year.